Hello, Bionicle fans! Ever felt like you made a bad decision, done the wrong thing, or just do a dumb act? Well, fear not, because there's a ton of Bionicle characters who have done the same. In its decade-long tales of good versus evil, there have been many Bionicle characters in the official storyline that may be classified as imbeciles or morons. But today we look into those who are truly the dumbest, and thus another list was born. My name is TheShadowedOne1, and these are my picks for the top 10 dumbest Bionicle characters. This list only includes Generation 1 characters and could include heroes, villains, or those in the middle. This list is my personal opinion, and facts are drawn from the official Bionicle storyline. Let's get on with this already. Enjoy the show. At number 10, we have Tuma. Tuma is number 10 because he's probably the smartest of all on this list, and I use that very lightly. He's still an idiot. Tuma is, or was, the leader of the Skrull on Barra Magna. He is the last of a high class of Skrull. The others were killed by Batera because they were definitely idiots, which explains why Tuma is on this list. Tuma fought in the Core War and lost many troops to the mechanical assassins. When this shattering occurred, the Skrull were cut off from their homeland, and Tuma took command of the remainder of his people. He was actually a very successful leader, a cunning strategist, and a brilliant tactician. However, he was not intelligent or clever enough to know his enemy and underestimated his foes like the Batera or later Matanui. If he had simply dropped his weapons when he was attacked by Batera, he not only would have discovered their weakness, but also avoided the wound that defeated him later on. But Skrull refused to drop their weapons, and Batera killed those who are armed. Whoops! He also made the horrible and stupid deal with Metis that if he fell, Metis would take command of the Skrull. When Tuma engaged Matanui in a one-on-one duel, he underestimated his enemy and was defeated humiliatingly. He was exiled from his own people, never to return, and that is the last we ever saw of Tuma. Next time, Tuma, just kill the guy! Don't stand there and talk about killing someone, just do it! At number 9, we have the Vorox and the Zesk. Vorox, Zesk are number 9 on this list because they are practically the same but different. While they are many, and not one, they still count as characters. The Vorox and the Zesk are of the Sand tribe, and are of the Kotorian and Agori species. They reverted to a savage and bestial state after the Shattering. They were once an intelligent and proud race of warriors who turned into primitive beasts on Barra Magna. The Vorox and the Zesk have organized themselves into an animal-like society with pack leaders. They speak their own language, and they react to fire or lightning, and are also drawn to bright or shiny objects. They do not participate in the Kotorian system, and were used by the Skrull and Bone Hunters for various and dark purposes, such as being forced into arena matches, or for suicide missions. Sad enough, the Vorox of Bota Magna did not revert to an animal state, and are angered by how everyone has treated their Barra Magna brothers. Don't worry, Kabrua, they will be avenged. At number 8, we have Karapar. Karapar is number 8 on this list, but not higher because he wasn't always an imbecile or the favorite puppet of Takanox. Karapar was a Baraki and a member of the League of Six Kingdoms, and was once a very intelligent warlord. In past times, Karapar once took over an entire island by offering poisoned food to the populace, which allowed him to conquer them with ease. Karapar and the others were sentenced to the pit after attempting a coup to overthrow the Great Spirit. When the Great Cataclysm struck, he escaped the pit and became mutated by the Black Waters. Karapar once had a sharper mind, but it began to erode thanks to Takanox's centuries of hypnosis. He continued to follow Takanox as an ally, knowing that he would find a way to survive. After battling the Toamari and being imprisoned again, he and Takanox were released by the Order of Matanui and put to work by them. They joined the strike force led by Artakha to free Makuta Miserix. While on their journey, they stumbled upon Tren Krom's island and met the fabled and feared being. Karapar attempted to sneak up and kill the immortal figure with a sword, only for Tren Krom to disintegrate the former warlord in an instant, killing him. This ended the life of Takanox's favorite toy, and the League was never the same. All I can say is, poor Karapar. At number 7, we have Akmu. Akmu is number 7 on this list, not due to his overall intelligence, but due to his poor decision making, or moreover his ability to get tied with the worst of the worst, like Nidiki Kraka or Makuta Pterodax. Akmu was a Pomatoran crafter who despised and used everyone else to get ahead or grab power. Highest above all, he only cared about one thing: himself. On Metronui, he sought to get the Great Disc for himself, but also to save himself from Nidigi's wrath. He double-crossed the Dark Hunters and sided with the Toa Metru for protection later on. Even then, he constantly betrayed the Toa or made them question his loyalty. Later on Matanui, he served Makuta Pterodax as his disciple and took advantage of the Matoran for profit. Agumu's traitorous and unpredictable nature almost got him and everyone around him killed, and that makes him an idiot for succumbing to his greed and arrogance. At number 6, we have Airwatcher. Airwatcher is number 6 on this list because he was once stated to make Kraka look like a genius on the highest level. Why isn't he higher on this list? Well, that's because of storyline importance and screen time. There's not much to go off of his stupidity other than what the Shadow One told us, and his brief encounter with the Toa Nuva that got his wings iced by Kopaka and knocked out by Onawa. Airwatcher is a Dark Hunter, and he is so dumb that the Shadow One doesn't even send him off on the island on missions, but instead to guard the treasures on the island. However, he does know not to attack its leader or Sintrak. So there's that. Maybe Airwatcher should just stick with guarding objects for the foreseeable future. Or forever, for that matter. At number 5, we have Makuta Kajal. Makuta Kajal is number 5 on this list because there's a saying, some things are best kept secret. Or if you're a Kajal, be so secretive that everyone hates you, even your own Makuta brothers. Makuta Kajal was a member of the Brotherhood of Makuta and supervised the island of Artakha. He was one of the few who actually knew Artakha and would defend the homeland from all threats, including his own brothers. Kajal, according to Makuta Mutran, was an arrogant, pompous, obnoxious buffoon. Mutran himself wanted to kill him. Pterodax required Kajal's cooperation for his plan, which made the others nervous. When the Mask of Light on Artakha was created, Kajal, being the idiot he was, had not learned of it directly. He ignored Pterodax's orders to secretly attack with a small force, and like a moron launched an armada on the island. After many failures, he eventually did succeed in acquiring the Evoki. This led to his ultimate downfall. Kajal was never even meant to set foot on the island, as it was meant to be a secret raid. Kajal's victory didn't even last long, as Artakha ordered the Order of Matanui to kill all those who knew of the island. While Kajal was on Zia planning to weaponize an armor-eating virus, it escaped and devoured his armor. And the next thing you know, Kajal's antiderm somehow ended up in a Zian foundry, where he was destroyed. It was only after that Mutran realized what an idiot he was, because he didn't force the location of Artakha out of him. Silly Makuta! Some secrets are best kept secret. At number 4, we have Nocturne. Nocturne is number 4 on this list because he was sent to the pit for doing something not even Kraka could do. He struck the center of his homeland and literally broke the island. The Baraki even knew Nocturne was an absolute lummox and constantly called him out for it. When they left the Mask of Life with him, Mantax questioned that he would eat the Kanoi. Takadox and Kalma once tricked Nocturne to fight pursuing Zyglak after saying the creatures insulted him. However, he is not without his merits, as he was an extremely powerful and strong fighter. Alec even recruited him as a lieutenant in his armies, and Prydax swords were made by Nocturne's brute strength. He also fought against Hydraxon on multiple occasions, which would eventually lead to his death. After Nocturne was captured and imprisoned, he escaped again and fought against the duplicate Hydraxon one last time, before finally being killed. He really should have just stayed in his cell. At number 3, we have Makuta Spiria. Makuta Spiria is number 3 on this list because he is by far one of the stupidest Makuta that ever lived. He was never a leader, and always a follower. He lacked sufficient skills in Rahi creation and was looked down upon by his brothers, constantly. Add that to the fact that his biggest blunder of all was his incompetence dealing with the island of Zakaz and the Skakti who lived there. Spiria planned to weaponize the species into an army for the Brotherhood, and experimented on the populace, which granted them powers and abilities they didn't have. Like an idiot, he left the island intending to return later, only to come back to a civil war that ravaged the island. Spiria went into exile for fear of being killed by his brothers, literally the smartest thing he ever did, and into hiding for many years before being caught by the Order of Matanui, and forced to aid a team to free Miserix, who he was supposed to execute long ago. He tried to betray Brutaka and the team many times with Zyglak, only to fail. Spiria eventually did find Miserix and should have regretted not killing his former leader when he had the chance, as Miserix absorbed him with his Shadow Hand, killing the Makuta instantly. Spiria's insane aspirations led to his downfall, and he really should have just gone with cleaning up messes instead of making them. At number 2, we have Sidorak. Sidorak is number 2 on this list, and the second dumbest Bionicle character, because he was a loser his entire existence. Sidorak was a brilliant and cunning strategist, but was not smart enough to realize he was being constantly played by Rudaka. Sidorak used others to gain power on his homeland of Stealth. He took credit of those below him, and if anyone questioned him, Sidorak would send them on a mission they would never return from. He even betrayed his clan leader, Voporak, to the Brotherhood of Makuta. Sidorak even attempted to join the Dark Hunters and fought Gladiator, surprisingly a former slave of Stealth, but was defeated and refused entry to the Dark Hunters. Sidorak was eventually made the king of the Vizorak horde by Makuta Pterodax after taking credit for what Rudaka did to the Toahaga. When he and Rudaka invaded Metronui, she continued to manipulate him and use him for her own purposes. He never saw any of it coming until it was too late. In the final battle against the Toaradika, Sidorak and Rudaka fought against Kitangu, with the latter felling the beast. Sidorak attempted to allow Rudaka to deliver the final blow, but she left him as Kitangu stirred awake. Sidorak was literally dumbfounded and shocked at her betrayal as Kitangu rose above him and smashed the idiotic king to death. Maybe, Sidorak, you should have looked at all the key signs that you were being manipulated constantly. And finally, at number 1, the dumbest Bionicle character is Kreka. Kreka. It seemed like just tomorrow you astounded us with your stupidity. For some, it may be a surprise that our favorite brutish dog hunter is number 1, but for others, it was literally a no-brainer. Kreka is the dumbest character in all of Bionicle because we really got to know who he was. And who he was a moronic lummox who loved to smash all those in his path. Kreka's got quite the history. He was a member of the lower class on Stealth and was a guard who crossed paths with Makuta Gorast. It was due to this encounter that he lost his eye after throwing her through a wall. He was exiled from the island after the fight, and due to his stupidity, kept getting into bad situations until he was recruited by the Dark Hunters. He was partnered with Nidiki, especially after TheShadowedOne1 knew the former hated him. Kreka and Nidiki were put to work on various missions where they constantly got into fights with each other. Kreka and Nidiki were stationed to guard the Mask of Light when the Toahaga took it from the Brotherhood of Makuta. Toa Iruni fought and easily outsmarted Kreka as they escaped. Later, Kreka and Nidiki were hired by Makuta Pterodax on Metronui to deal with Toa Likan and his team, and later with the new Toa Metru. Together, they defeated Likan but failed to stop him from creating more Toa. Kreka later fought against the Toa Metru on many occasions, and on each was defeated, such as when Vakama struck him with a teleportation disc that sent him outside of an airship and crashing back to Metronui. Or when Kreka accidentally got him and Nidiki crushed by a statue in Port Metru. Tomatau even tricked both Dark Hunters by pretending to be them in the Canyon of Ending Whispers. However, Kreka's stupidity was put to an end with their final encounter against the Toa Metru. Toa Anawa used his mask of mind control on Kreka, making him attack Nidiki and throwing them both in the oncoming path of Pterodax's Shadow Hand. Kreka and Nidiki were both killed when their essence was absorbed into Pterodax's new form. Maybe next time, Kreka, don't punch the female Makuta! And that is why Kreka is the dumbest character in all of Bionicle. And that concludes my top 10 dumbest Bionicle characters. Tell me what you thought of my list, or if you disagree, tell me who you would pick as your top 10 dumbest Bionicle characters. Comment, like, and subscribe. It helps me out and kicks me into gear to make more great content for you guys. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy.